Hello, sir. Good morning. Hope you are having a good day. May I have your permission to ask your few economic related question?
Good morning. I would be happy to assist you with your economic related questions. Please go ahead and ask your questions.
Well, sir, first my question will be regarding to your description for economy. You have say that economy is the study mankind of the ordinary business of life. Actually, what is study of mankind where you uh, referring to?
A very fine question indeed. Well, I proclaim that economics is the study of mankind in the ordinary business of life. I aim to emphasize the comprehensive nature of economic inquiry. The study of mankind is the context refer to the analysis of human behavior and interaction as they pertain to pursuit of material well-being. Economics, in my view, encompasses the examination of how individuals and societies allocate their limited resource to satisfy their wants and needs. This include not only the production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services, but also the underlying motives and principle guiding these activities. The ordinary business of life therefore include everyday decisions such as how family budgets its income, how a worker choose a job, or how a business decide to invest its capital. By focusing on the ordinary business of life, I sought to illustrate that economic is not a distant or abstract discipline, but one deeply rooted in real experience and decision of people. It is through understanding these day-to-day activity that we can uncover the broader pattern and principle that govern economic system. Thus, economic is both a science of behavior and a practical guide to improving the material condition of life. In essence, the study of mankind in economics involves a keen observation of how people respond to incentive, how they trade and negotiate, how they innovate and grow, and how they cope with scarcity and uncertainty. It is the rich tapestry of human activity that form the foundation of economic theory and practice.
Okay. Where did you get the idea to develop the formula of economy M equal KPI?
The formation of this equation m is equal to kpy was born out of my desire to provide a clear and concise representation of relationship between money supply, price level, and economic output. This equation often referred to as the Cambridge cash balance equation, which was influenced by my deep engagement with the classical and neoclassical economic theories of my time, as well as my own observation and analysis on economic phenomena. The idea germinated from the classical quantity theory of money, which posed that the overall price level in an economy is directly proportional to the quantity of money in circulation. However, I sought to refine and extend this theory by introducing a more nuanced understanding of the role money plays in the economy. Specifically, I wanted to emphasize the demand for the money as function of the level of economic activity and the prosperity of people to hold cash balances. In developing the formula, I consider the work of my predecessors such as John Stuart Mill and David Ratio, who laid the groundwork for monetary theory. Additionally, my own empirical investigation and theoretical reflection convinced me that the amount of money people wish to hold is proportionate to the nominal value of output, representing the proportion of income that people desire to keep in cash or liquid form. The equation m is equal to kpy encapsulate the idea that the money supply is an economic in an economy must be sufficient to meet the demand for money balances that individuals and business require for their transaction and precautionary need. This demand is influenced by the overall economic activity, making the equation a cornerstone of my monetary theory and a bridge between the classical neoclassical school of thoughts. In essence, this formula arose from a synthesis of classical insight and my own innovative approach to understand the dynamic relationship between money, price, and economic activity. It reflects my broader aim to economics and a practical science that not only explain the mechanism of economy but also guide policies and decision making in the real world.
Yeah, could you please elaborate on your idea on market demand and supply chain?
Yes, certainly my ideas on market demand and supply chain revolve around the intricate interplay between consumers' desire and producers' capabilities. I introduce the concept of elasticity of demand to measure how quantity demands responds to price change. This notation helps us understand that demand is not static but varies with price and income and tastes. On the supply side, I emphasized the role of cost, both fixed and variable, in determining how much of good producers are willing to offer at different price. Certain and central to my analysis in the idea of equilibrium, where market demand and supply balance each other. This equilibrium price is where consumers' willingness to pay matches a producer cost of production. I also stress the importance of time and market adjustment, distinguishing between short-term period where some factors are fixed and long-term period where all factors can adjust. By considering these dynamic, my goal was to provide a comprehensive framework that explain how price and quantities are determined in market, ensuring a harmonious and efficient allocation of resources.
Yeah, your theory of welfare economy is based on your tool or consumer surplus. What is your consumer surplus? Could you please explain more about the consumer surplus?
Yes, consumer surplus. It's a concept dear to my heart and pivotal element in my theory of welfare economics. Consumer surplus represents the difference between what consumers are willing to pay for a good or service and what they actually pay. It is, a sense, a measure of economic benefit that consumers receive when they purchase a product at a market price lower than highest price they are prepared to pay. To illustrate, imagine a consumer who is willing to pay up to 10 euros for a particular good, but the market price is only 6 euro. The consumer surplus in this case is 4 euro, representing the extra utility or satisfaction the consumer gains from the transaction. Aggregating the surplus across all consumer in market give us a sense of overall welfare generated by that market. And this concept is instrumental in assessing the efficiency and equity of markets. It allows us to quantify the benefit that accurate to consumer, thereby providing a metric to evaluate the effectiveness of economic policies and market conditions. By maximizing consumer surplus, we can ensure that resources are allocated in a manner that maximize societal welfare, making a cornerstone for welfare economics framework.
Yes. Now coming to your most favorite book principle or of economy, it states about the elasticity, demand, percent, consumers, uh, surplus, the representative from ETC. Could you please elaborate of the relationship between elasticity, demand, and consumer surplus?
Of course, the relationship between elasticity of demand and consumer surplus is very fascinating and important one, central to understanding market behavior and welfare economics. Elasticity of demand measure how sensitive the quantity demand of good is to change in its price. When demand is elastic, a small change in price led to large changes quantity demanded. Conversely, when demand is inelastic, the quantity demanded is relatively insensitive to the price changes. Consumer surplus, as I mentioned, is the difference between what consumers are willing to pay for a good and what they actually pay. The elasticity of demand affects the magnitude of the surplus for good for goods with inelastic demand. The consumer surplus tend to be larger because consumers are willing to pay significantly more than the market price, but the quantity demanded does not change much with the price variation. Think of essential good like basic food item or medicine where the consumer needs the product regardless of price fluctuation. On the other hand, for goods with elastic demand, the consumer surplus is usually smaller. Here, consumers are more sensitive to price change, and the willingness to pay drops sharply if price rise. Luxury items or non-essential goods often fall to this category. Thus, the elasticity of demand directly influences the extent of consumer surplus in market. Understanding this relationship, it will help us to analyze how price changes impact consumer welfare and allows us to design policies that can enhance overall economic well-being.
Yeah, you have stated in your theory of the good and service are exchanging between producer and consumers in a market with unlimited supply or limited demand. If you there unlimited supply and limited demand, then what is the